When I told my 15-year-old son that I was coming here to talk about work, he said, "What, on a Saturday?" Ooh, effort. I think he takes after his mother, actually. Good. You know, I hate work. I detest it. I try to do as little as I possibly can. You know, work, I know it's a cliche, but work really is a four-letter word, isn't it? Can you think of a better four-letter word that's possibly a verb? Ends in K, begins with W? Yeah, wink, yeah, exactly. It's, you know, it's something that we have to do, isn't it? But we, you know, there are better ways of doing work, aren't there? And when I was younger, well, a few years ago now, when I was 16, my first job was working in a factory, and I absolutely hated it. I hated it. I used to actually go to bed on Sunday night and cry myself softly to sleep because I didn't want to go to work on Monday morning. And I managed to keep that job for a couple of weeks, and in the end I just couldn't stomach it any longer, and I left. And I vowed at that age never again to do a job for a pay packet at the end of the week. You know, life's too short. You know, some people live their lives like it goes on forever, and they live their lives in terms of work, you know, doing a job that they don't really like for, you know, as long as they can and do as little as they possibly can get away with without getting fired, yeah, and do it for, you know, the amount of money that keeps them in the job to save them from quitting. You know, that is the sad, you know, and those are the lucky ones. I mean, think about people, there are some people, I read somewhere, that, you know, who, if they were to die and go to hell, they hate their job so much that it would take them a full week before they realised that they weren't still at work. So my contention is, when it comes to work, actually, we haven't really evolved much at all. I mean, think about Victorians. They used to shove children up chimneys and down mines. How is that any worse than what happens today with corporations who, in their greed and their need to compete and to cut costs, have no problem about using child labour right here, right now, today, in cocoa plantations and cotton plantations? You know, big branded fashion brands that get their products manufactured across Asia in sweatshops and factories where those workers endure almost slave-like conditions. You know, what happened to the Quaker companies? Companies that used to actually care about their workers, actually even build homes for them. You know, did you know that Barclays used to be a Quaker company? It's hard to believe, isn't it? But this is, you know, my theory is that you can have a business and make a difference. And, you know, my, you know, sort of like light bulb moment came, not just when I was 16, but when I thought about, you know, we spend a lot of our time working. And I worked out that, you know, if we were to live till the age of 75, we're on this planet for something like, was it 657,000 hours? You've got 657,000 hours to live. Yeah? Now, if you take out, you know, sleeping and recovering from hangovers, you know, a big chunk of your adult time is spent working, isn't it? We've already discussed that. Big chunk of your adult time is spent working. So if you're going to spend a big chunk of your time working, you might as well do it doing something that actually fulfills you. Because you've heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that need that we have to find meaning. Well, if you've got a big chunk of time is actually spent working, and our greatest need in life is to be self-actualized and have meaning, then it makes sense to bring the two together. You know, over the years, I've set up many companies, and I've done it because I've always wanted to do something that I could be proud of. And, you know, to employ people in the right way, give them, you know, the rights that they deserve as employees. You know, nowadays, you know, we've got companies that you know, government initiatives where they try to, you know, destroy workers' rights through things like, you know, trading them off for share agreements or fire at will policies. You know, it's crazy. How is that evolution? You know, social businesses can create both a social impact and create a profit. You know, I'm what I call a mad woman. I like to make a difference. And I think that and I firmly believe that you can make a difference. You can make money and make a difference. You can have your cake and eat it and not put on the weight. So with that mindset, I've always, for my entrepreneurial endeavours, have thought about what can I do that would actually achieve that. And, you know, my first business was about creating jobs. My second business was about creating jobs in a deprived area. My third business was about creating 10,000 jobs for the long-term unemployed and people with disabilities and people that are, you know, routinely discriminated against. And I thought, well, that's not enough. What can I do now? So I decided I wanted to create 10,000 people like me. That's a scary thought, isn't it? But imagine what effect that could have. 10,000 social entrepreneurs, people who want to go out there and make a difference. And that's why I'm launching my next business, which is all about helping those people to get access to finance for businesses that can have that impact. Imagine what a difference that can make. Now, I'm not suggesting that we all have to run outside and become entrepreneurs. You know, there is a role for people within corporations. I mean, I'm not a corporate bunny, but for some people, they want to work within bigger companies. And I would say it's about the entrepreneurial spirit. And you could become, an entrepreneurial disruptor rather than a corporate collaborator and corrupter. And if you're working for a big organization, here's an idea you might like. Download their annual report. Have a look at what the chairman is saying about their business and read what they say about corporate social responsibility and what they're doing. And then ask them, why is it, that we have these, make these statements about corporate social responsibility, and we make all this money in the UK, but we don't pay much tax here? And how comes we have a head office in the Cayman Islands? Any chance I could be transferred there? I think you'd be transferred out of the business pretty quickly. You bang on the table, you could kick ass from the inside, couldn't you? And what's the worst that could happen? What's the worst that could happen? You get the sack, yeah? Become an entrepreneur. Doing business as an entrepreneur is really about doing business on your own terms. You define what you want to do and how you want to make that impact, and it's easy to do it as an entrepreneur. And I'd like to really just finish by saying, I go along with what the great Oscar Wilde said when it comes to work. Work really is the curse of the drinking classes. And if you believe that like me, then I'll see you in the bar later on. Thank you very much.